He's moving on. Sports Radio, The Ticket.
This is our video portion of today's kind of pregame with Prater and the Ballgame edition of Idaho Sports Talk, getting you ready for the big action tonight in San Diego. Appreciate the love from the Dollar Loan Center. They've been funding loans for 25 years. Visit don'tbebroke.com. Your first loan could even be free. Go to don'tbebroke.com. We are joined now. This is going to be a fun one. We've been talking a lot about the freshman sensation on the blue that is Ty Benefield. He's been playing so well, Prater. They had him run out the hammer last week. True freshmen don't run out the hammer on the blue, Prater?
No, they do not.
That doesn't happen?
No, it doesn't happen very often at all. As a matter of fact, I think we could probably go. We need to figure out, we can go back and see if it ever has happened.
Yeah.
Again, we told you that Ty Benefield joined this football team. He wasn't one of the early enrollees. He finished out his high school career and joined the Boise State football program the first 10 days of June, and really wasn't mentioned much during fall camp. Most true freshmen aren't. They're trying to figure out where the stinking locker room is still at this point.
Yeah.
And here comes Ty Benefield making a difference in game 2, making a bigger difference in game 3. We cannot wait to see what kind of career he has starting with tonight's game in San Diego.
And again, we just think this is a story that Bronco Nation is eager to hear. Let's hit up our hotline right now. We are joined by a 5-time Canadian Football League All-Star, a former member of the San Francisco 49ers, thinking Steve Young, Jerry Rice era Niners, and might be his greatest accomplishment, Prater, the father of Ty Benefield. We're joined now by his father, Daved Benefield. David, really appreciate your time. Looking forward to getting to know you and your family. Welcome, David, to Idaho Sports Talk.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
It's going to be fun, man. How surprised are you? Even as his dad, you're his biggest fan. You know football really well, David. What's going through you and the rest of your family's head when you see Ty? He's only been here for about 3.5 months. Get off to the start he's had this season with Boise State.
It's kind of unreal because, I mean, he's always been a really different athlete, like even as a kid, but to see him like jump up and just decide one day, hey, I want to play corner, and then all of a sudden, no, I want to play safety. And then, and it's like, I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, this isn't 7-on-7 or flag football anymore. This is tackle. You got to hit people. And to see him do it, it's kind of scary because, I mean, everyone's like, well, he's still feeling his way through this whole safety thing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But he would do things even like in flag because he never played safety except only in flag because he was our quarterback forever. He was always going to be the quarterback to me. So I was like, and he would do things and we would be like, how do you do that? It's like, I don't know. My assistant coach would go, you teaching him? I'm like, no, I don't know where that came from. So It's pretty wild.
We're talking to Daved Benefield. He is the father of Ty Benefield, the true freshman safety for Boise State. Boise State playing at San Diego State tonight. Just getting to know the story of a guy, of a name we just started hearing over the last couple of weeks. All right, David, before we talk about what's going on now, I want to take a little bit of a step back. How did this whole Boise State relationship start? How did Ty Benefield end up on the blue? Did Boise State obviously recruited him? How much did you guys interact with him in the beginning, and how did this relationship start?
Well, Ty was at a different school in the Trinity League, and Ty was just making the move over to play defense, and he could always catch. He had great hands. We thought he was going to be a receiver, and next thing you know, he's like, spring ball and just moving around, and he was just like, yeah, Boise called. He told me one day, he said, Boise called. And I said, okay, how did it go? And he said, guys were really cool. And I was like, okay, that's good. So we'll see what happens next. And then the coaches were just super personable the whole time. And then a teammate of mine, Robert Holland, his son plays for the Miami Dolphins as a safety. His DB coach was Coach Avalos in Oregon. So I was like, okay.
Nice.
So I called Robert up. I said, who's this guy and everything? And he's like, and Robert he was just like, Dave, he's the guy. He's the guy. You totally want to, he's the guy. His defense is way better than everybody's, you'll see, and all that kind of stuff. And he was just super positive and super stoked. And then I met Spencer when he showed up to watch Ty, and it was kind of like Coach Spencer was so cool, and I forgot, like, he was a DC. It was kind of like, okay, this guy's, I mean, his persona and just the way he interacted the whole time was just so down to earth. I was like, okay, this is a good guy. This is a great guy. So it just made sense.
So
I made the decision, though.
You made the decision, and that's what I was going to ask you about this decision, because you guys had a really strong decision to make. He was getting all kinds of Pac-12 offers, as you know. BYU, a lot of teams here in the western part of the United States were interested in your son, Ty Benefield. Between the two of you, why Boise State?
To me, I mean, I wanted to keep myself out of it because I chose his high school, and he would hold that against me forever. So, like in Canada, his Canadian high school forever. So I was like, you're going to make this decision yourself. And all I said was, hey, they're playing a defense that everyone's going to be moving towards. You might as well, I said, I think that's a great idea. And then, I told him that I thought the coaches were great guys. And then we all went on the trip, and it was just a great feeling all the way around.
Again, we're talking to former Canadian Football League All-Star Daved Benefield, the father of Ty Benefield. Matter of fact, our guest Daved Benefield still holds the Canadian Football League single game sack record, where he sacked quarterbacks 5 times in one game. Daved Benefield, you were a nice little pass rusher in your Canadian Football League career, huh?
I thank you. I appreciate it. That's what Dwight Clark said, because on that night we were playing against one of the old U.S. teams, and I actually got there 7 times. But in the Canadian League, if you make the quarterback fumble, they don't count it as a sack.
What?
So he was just like, that's one thing I remember him saying as he went in the office to get my contract. He said, 7 sacks, huh? And he just looked at me and smiled and wandered off. And it was just like, I was like, God, I'm glad someone noticed it.
That's hilarious, man. Back to your son, Ty, obviously. I mean, was the general expectation to probably redshirt? I know the rules are a little different, and you've been talking a lot with Ty, I'm sure, and roles change. People get hurt in front of him. Stuff happens. I mean, now all of a sudden, you and the rest of your family's probably like, oh, we got to circle these Boise State games on our schedule because we got to make sure and watch a lot of these. It's a lot different, I would imagine, as a dad when your son is playing a lot more snaps than maybe you anticipated he would earlier. Like, how much are you expecting Ty to play moving forward starting tonight, David?
You know what? I tell Ty all the time, I'm like, dude, just, enjoy every moment, make the best of every moment, have fun, youthful exuberance, because he just turned 18 in September, right? So
wow.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the other thing that he's been kind of getting his head around, because when he moved to California, he's like, Dad, they're 9th graders older than I am. And I'm like how much, and he's just like, because he's a young kid. So watching him do stuff with the older guys, it's kind of funny. And for me, I laugh all the time, because it's like, what's he going to do next? What sort of skill is he going to show you that he's got next? Like, it's just funny to me.
Hey, Daved Benefield, when you talked to Ty over these last 2 or 3 weeks since this season has started and since he got out of fall camp and really made a name for himself with the coaches, what kind of conversations do you have? I'm curious, because we're not allowed to talk to him. He's a true freshman, and we won't be able to talk to him until 2024 because of school rules. So that's kind of why we're trying to get to know him here a little bit. What's coming through his mind in terms of the way he's played so far this season?
During the off season, we went to a free agent camp of a bunch of my CFL, they're new kids now, CFL guys. And he went out there and practiced with the guys, and a couple of the dads and players were like, what college is he at? And I'm like, well, he's starting Boise this year. they're like, oh, he's not already there. We're like, no, he's starting this year. So he looks, because he's tall, he looks a bit more mature than he actually is. And I mean, he's just as one of the kids said on his team this year, from his high school, they said he's just different. I mean, the way he does things is different. His athleticism, it's hard to get a beat on like what he can or can't do, because he just makes things look really easy. And sometimes I would say, dude, can you work harder? And he's like, I am. And it's like, he's just smooth and very nonchalant about his movements. And then to me, that was always like one of my favorite type of athletes to try to emulate, was the guy that makes it look so easy, but it's just, they just have it like that.
It's crazy. Yeah. Daved Benefield, father of Ty Benefield. And how much time did Ty spend up north in Canada, David? I know your CFL career, you started in the early 90s and finished in the mid 2000s. So you were up in Canada for almost 15 or so years. Was David with you after he was born and whatnot? How much of his life did he spend in America's hat?
Oh, well, because I'm a native Californian, I wanted to make sure he got to California a lot, where my parents are and my wife's family is. So we just made sure that he got there every summer, just to go to the beach and hang out with grandma and grandpa and stuff like that, and hang out with other kids. But it was up until COVID. He left in grade 10 for his 11th and 12th grade year in high school.
Okay.
In California.
Between the two of you, the conversations that you've had and the direction he's going, and I know he's just a true freshman, but based on your background of 13, 14, 15 years of professional football, I would imagine he was pretty enamored by that as a kid, and here he is playing football at a high level. Between you and him, eventually, are the expectations for him to find a football career?
No, and tell you the truth, he would sometimes mock me about that I played football. He was like, I want to play basketball. I don't want to play football. And all of a sudden, like, it was constant. It was like, we couldn't come. My wife would sit in the house and wait for us to come back for the park, and almost set an egg timer to figure out like how long before one of us comes back crying. Well, mostly Ty, but just because it was, maybe I was a hard dad. Maybe I was hard in the football world because I wanted him to be, to realize his ability, but he just kind of did it on his own. So I got nothing to say there.
Again, former CFL All-Star Daved Benefield with us, father of Ty Benefield, playing tonight in California against San Diego State. That game starts at 8:30 Mountain Time. David, my partner told me that you're coaching at the high school level or whatnot, and you actually have a game you're coaching tonight. Are you DVRing the Boise State game? How are you going to take this in and see your kid play tonight?
After seeing Ty last night, my wife and I decided to drive down to San Diego just to see him at 8:30. So we were just kind of like, okay. And then coming back, I was like, I really don't want to miss this game. So I was like, okay. So I called my coach, sent him a text, and he said faith and family. And so he's like, go ahead. He said, I'll fire you if you don't go to his game. So he let me come to the game tonight. And, I've texted a couple of my players, like, Tyler Parker and Carter Jones and Caden. And I was like, hey, you guys, these are the things you have to do, just reminders. And hopefully everything works out tonight.
I love it. So you will be in Snapdragon Stadium with your wife, family members, to see Ty Benefield play for the first time. Is this the first game, David, that you've seen? You will see Ty play in college?
No, we caught Washington.
Awesome.
We caught the Washington game, and then UCF on TV, and North Dakota.
Gotcha, man. Hey, David, you played at Cal State Northridge, CSUN, before they had the program go extinct. Did you ever play on the blue?
No, okay. No, definitely not. I missed it.
You would remember. I know.
But I had a coach that coached at Boise, Adam Rita, back in the day.
Love it. Love it. Well, enjoy tonight, your family. We love watching your kid play. It looks like he's off to a tremendous career here at Boise State. We're really happy for you and him, and hopefully they win tonight for you guys and the family. David, thanks for taking some time, man. Good stuff.
Hey, thanks a lot. And, we're sending my daughter there next year after next for volleyball. So,
you guys are going to have to get a place up here.
we'll call you in 2 years then.
Well, I thought it was cool. We've got one babysitter now, so that's awesome.
Yes. All right. Well, enjoy it, David, and pleasure you coming on and letting us do this interview with you today, bud. Good stuff.
A lot. Nice talking to you guys.
That's good stuff, Daved Benefield, and so he is going to the game.
That's
Prater.
pretty cool. Yeah, I did chat with him yesterday. He was really kind of depressed that he wasn't going to be able to go, but he worked it out. And when a football coach preaches family and faith, and then you want to go see your son play football, go watch your son play football.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's
man.
very cool.
I don't think at the beginning of the season they must not have thought that he was going to be much into the rotation, and David was probably thinking, I can do my football, and here he's doing well, but he's probably not going to be a fixture on game day, and it looks like he is going in that direction. But, sometimes you forget, and he just reminded us. He turned 18 in September, which means when fall camp kicked off, Ty Benefield was 17 years old.
Unbelievable.
I mean, Hank Bachmeier was a true freshman at 20 years old. This kid's a true freshman at 17. What a crazy story. That guy has a lot of room to grow physically still and mentally. That's why you listen to Idaho Sports Talk, our pregame edition, getting you ready for tonight. How about some NFL news? This could affect Boise State football players. JP has it. We'll get it to you when we come back on Prater and the Ballgame. Idaho Sports Talk, KTIK, the ticket.
Idaho Sports Talk with Prater and the Ballgame.